I think the past few times we met was like at stores and stuff. So I'm glad we get to sit down, right, and just talk for a little bit. I know you're a busy guy, and shoot, I don't know who wouldn't know you, but for anybody who's tuning in and don't really know who you are, you're the one of the Faipules for the Tualauta districts.
Yes.
Right? We have Representative Sam Meleisea. How much terms now, Sam?
This is my second term, or third year going.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're the youngest one, right?
Youngest one so far. Yes.
Yeah. You catch any grief for being the youngest one?
Yeah, I've had my share of challenges
Yeah.
since I started this job, but I've found that over time people just accept the fact that you're a young buck, and
Right.
so I'm sure the next few years we'll see even younger bucks come into the house. It's my vision, my dream.
Right.
Yeah, whether it's from Manua or from Tutuila or Aunu, as long as there's more younger representation in the house. Yeah.
So when you were elected, how old were you?
When I was elected, 25.
Yeah.
25.
What is the minimum age?
That's the minimum age.
25.
25.
Yeah.
Maybe in the near future, chambers might decide to lower that age, because I know there are other houses of representatives in different states that are at least maybe 21 or 24. I know that young guy, last name was Suena, from Hawaii, was the youngest. He became rep in Hawaii at 21.
Really?
Yeah, or 23, one of those ages, and yeah, very young guy. But Samoan,
Right.
which is,
Have you met him?
I'm proud. I have talked to him several times.
He
over the
reached
phone.
out to you, or you reached out to him?
I've reached out to him, and so we've carried on that relationship back and forth. It's been a learning experience for me and for him.
Right.
I'm hoping that one time, when all of this coronavirus scare goes away, that I can actually sit down with him and meet him face to face when
Okay.
I fly back through Hawaii someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, another 2 weeks, 4 weeks shut down?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we just going to keep on doing it? Or what is it? Do you have any idea what they're talking about as far as the plan for the next 2 months? I know they can't keep us isolated forever.
You're right, and I'm sure everybody is starting to get the jitters, because I'm sure everyone at home is watching the TV and the news and seeing the protesters in the various states that
Yeah,
are
like
protesting,
Michigan
and all throughout the U.S. They want the lockdown to stop. They
Right.
want people to go back to work, and they want churches to start having services again, and for life to go back to normal. But we both know that as far as coronavirus is concerned, there's no way of really knowing how long this is going to impact the U.S. But for American Samoa, as far as I've been researching and connecting with some of my contacts within government, Hawaii's numbers, the growing number of infections of coronavirus there, is a concern for us.
Yeah.
And so as long as that number continues to increase, I feel that our border will continue to be shut until such time as those numbers either plateau or just completely decline to a number where it's acceptable for us to open the border once again. And I feel it's the same way with Samoa,
Right.
vice versa.
Well, as long as the container ships keep coming in, I guess we can, hold out at least a couple more months, right?
Yeah, and I've met a lot of people who are singing praises of the fact that we are on lockdown, because they just don't want to take the risk of one person being on the flight, being infected with coronavirus, coming here and spreading it throughout the island.
Yeah, because we do have a lot of people that's susceptible,
Yes.
a lot of
Elderly.
elderly people,
Yeah.
a lot of people, including myself, with
Pre-existing conditions.
pre-existing conditions. So,
Yeah.
and either way, it's a hard decision for the governor. It's a hard decision for what our president of the United States has to deal with. And I know everybody's trying to figure out the best way how to ride this out. So yeah, I don't envy any of those guys trying to handle this problem. So,
but as long as you said, as long as the container ships come, they're bringing food, they're bringing water, they're bringing supplies.
yeah.
I feel that I'm confident that our people will be able to sustain.
And as long as we have the ability to pay with our stimulus checks and our tax returns,
which I hear is coming very, very soon.
Yeah.
So look out for that. Coming down very, very soon.
well, it'll be nice, but I'm not too worried about it. So yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask you that always gets brought up with the phone and stuff is, when are you guys going to repeal the 2%, the wage
2% wage tax?
Yeah, because I guess it's good that you can come here and explain it. From what people say, they're not using it for what it was supposed to be appropriated for, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why not repeal it since it's not being used for what it was for? And it's also a tax that's unfair because, from what I know, it only taxes ASG employees, right?
Yep.
Not anyone else that is employed on the island.
That's correct.
So where do we stand with that?
That's correct. If we go back and look into the history of the 2% wage tax, it was originally introduced as a way of paying for our off-island referral program,
Right.
which was at that time in need of cash to try and send our fathers, our mothers, our uncles, aunties, cousins, friends, neighbors for medical treatment in the U.S. or elsewhere. Over the years, that money has sort of helped LBJ along, and just recently, Governor introduced legislation that would have taken a portion of the wage tax to pay for his initiative that will send young men and women to school to become doctors, nurses, professionals in the health field.
Right.
And so there was a huge talk about repealing the 2% wage tax just this past session. And so FONO comes back next week, as a matter of fact, starting Monday. And I think that particular topic is still very fresh in our minds because the 2% wage tax is a tax that was originally written for the off-island referral. And so you've got people on both sides saying, you know what, well, now that the off-island referral program is sort of in the blue or in the black, why don't we just repeal the tax altogether? When you talk to Medicaid, and if you get a chance to talk to Sandra, they've done a great job through the Medicaid program with funding our patients to go to New Zealand. Just because of our history of Hawaii hasn't opened up yet to allow patients from American Samoa to come there for medication or for referrals. So we're sending patients to Hawaii, or New Zealand, excuse me. We're using the Medicaid funding, but it requires local match.
Right.
And so the issue of the 2% wage tax once again comes up. Do we repeal the tax altogether and then find another way to fund not just the match for the Medicaid funding to send people to New Zealand? Do we find another way to fund the scholarship program for nurses and doctors that we want to send to major in the fields of health? So those are the ongoing discussions that we continue to have. And yes, it is an unfair tax because it only taxes the government employees of the American Samoa government. So there has been talk about introducing a sales tax that would be fair all across the board. Visitors would pay it. Non-ASG individuals would pay into the tax, and all of us would pay into the sales tax. Those proceeds would go towards funding the match to cover Medicaid to send our people to New Zealand and to Hawaii when that opens up, and to pay for the scholarship program to send people to pursue careers in health. So that's an ongoing discussion. FONO comes back next week. We might take it up again when we start next week, or we might take it up when we start our second regular session in July.
Okay.
So that's where we stand as far as the 2% wage tax is concerned.
Is there any other bills that's high on the agenda when you guys get back next week?
Coming back next week, there has been talk about filling some of the vacancies for the executive cabinet. I'm sure everyone is aware about the Attorney General position.
Right.
Recently, we heard about Samana resigning from his post. I think a couple of things have changed since that news broke. High Talking Chief Maipule also stepped down from his position as Director of the Administrative Services. And so we'll wait to hear by Monday what the agenda is for the next few weeks for the House and Senate.
But these are all like cabinet level positions.
Cabinet
right?
level positions that might need nominations.
Even though we only have like what, May, June, July, August, about 6 months or so, we still need to fill those positions. We can't just just hold off and just let the deputies do what they do.
Yeah, just because we have to follow the law, all of them have to be approved by both houses,
right.
and so that they can serve within the capacity in cabinet. Now, those are just what I feel might be taken up next week. Might be different.
Right.
As far as legislation is concerned, I do know there's talk of legislation requiring cannabis. There's that talk. I can only just throw out what I've heard. I don't know for sure because the agenda hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
So I'll know by Monday what else is on the agenda for the remaining days of the first regular session. Because as far as it stands, we only have 10 days left for this regular session, the first regular session. And after that, we'll wait until the second regular session in July, where we'll take up the budget. And the budget, as you know, is going to pretty much take up the whole session.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the cannabis. I'm just not going to hold my breath.
Yeah.
So I think the people that actually, it's interesting because I think the people that would probably be the ones that need to push it, if there's going to be any change, would be a lot of our veterans.
Yeah.
And I don't know too much veterans myself that would be supportive, but I would think that would be the ideal group, to push the issue, if the issue was going to be, put out there and stuff. I think that's the only legitimate group of people that people would probably respect their opinion. You know what I mean? They're not just going to support any casual user and stuff.
As far as recreational use of cannabis, I'm sure it wouldn't bode well.
No, but we're all going to end up getting our cards.
But it's
somebody's going to sign us up.
The medical use of cannabis or marijuana, just for our veterans with PTSD, and we've also got local people who aren't veterans that do go through chronic pain.
Right.
And so CBD products seem to work very well for them.
That one is probably going to be the easier one to get through, as opposed to the cannabis. I don't know what the exact difference is, but yeah, when people hear CBD, it's probably it just sounds a lot better than marijuana.
Yeah.
So I'll let those guys handle that kind of stuff.
We'll see, but I'll let you know.
Well, there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
The other one is time restraints. I think I told you last time, how long are you going to do this? This is going to be a third term. I'm pretty sure everybody's expecting you to, get your seat again. And good luck to anybody who wants to try and run. I'm sure it's not an easy job, but yeah, I don't think, at least the way the founding fathers, put it, I don't think it was meant to be a lifetime position.
Yes.
So how much longer do you think you got?
I know we've had this discussion several times, whether it's at KS Mart or
PS Pacific Mini Mart.
Pacific Mini Mart,
Right.
or at the pizza place with Justin. I don't foresee myself doing this job for very long.
Right.
And it's exactly for those reasons. The House of Representatives, the seat of rep, to me, and this is my own personal opinion, should be a seat that's revolving.
Right.
Because every time you get somebody new in there, they come in with new ideas, they've got more passion for the job, new energy, and they bring more experience.
As opposed to the Senate, where you got to have that stability, right?
Yeah.
That
The traditional leaders of
leader.
our territory. and you know, they're great individuals, but it's the House of Representatives where I feel the most change can come from, because they're elected by the people, and I feel they're the more progressive of the two chambers, and so I don't feel like it's time for me to quit yet, but I can tell you with absolute certainty that I don't plan on doing this for very long, because I feel like once you run your course and you feel like you've done all you can, you've done your best, and it's just time for you to step down and let somebody else carry the torch for you. And so I feel like at this time and place, I'm going to run for re-election this year in November, and maybe for the next 2 elections continue on, and then afterwards I might sit down and rethink the whole plan for the next step in my political career. Whether it's still with government or, I don't know, maybe step back and join the private sector. I don't know.
Or I guess next time we talk, maybe trying to push you again to maybe run for our U.S. rep. I know that's something you laugh about and stuff, but you know, just throwing that out there for you.
Well, I do love Amataga, and so as a card-carrying Republican, I'm very supportive of her, and I think she's doing a great job in Washington D.C. But I feel like right now I'm doing the best that I can.
Where you at?
Where I'm at.
Right.
And so I feel like there needs to be more young representation in the House, and I'm hoping this election that more and more young people will think about just jumping in.
Right.
You know, joining the ranks, campaign hard, and you never know. I never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would become one of the 2 representatives for Tualauta District, the biggest district in American Samoa.
Right.
And so for the last 3 years that I've been the rep, I consider myself very blessed, very humbled that people all across Tualauta decided to vote me as their rep. And so every day I try my best to push for them, to fight for their needs, and to remember that they put me where I am today.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that's not in your district that appreciate you because of the transparency that you bring.
I try.
Yeah.
I try.
Well,
But there, as I've mentioned to you many times too, there's also challenges with the job. You know, I don't have a secretary to help me kind of organize my day. There's no budget to actually create an office. As you see with Amata, she's got a really nice office, nice staff, you know, that organizes everything and sets up appointments. Amata can't be in 10 places all at once, but she can rely on her staff to kind of help when she's in DC to help with the groundwork here on the island. And so I'm hoping that in the next few years that kind of changes here in the funnel, because we really need to up our game and to improve the way that the funnel is able to serve our people and increase transparency. Because that's what everybody seems to want.
Right.
That's all they want. Increase the efficiency of the funnel and be more transparent. Yeah.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. And there's a lot of things that we could talk about, and I hope you give us a chance to get you back here and we'll talk about more stuff. And but I appreciate you coming out. Happy birthday to the wifey.
Thank you.
I know you got to get back to doing that.
I'd like to take this opportunity, if that's all right with you, to say happy birthday to my wife. I love it. Happy birthday.
Right.
Yeah, but I thank God for this position, and I thank you for the opportunity to come here and talk with you guys. And I'm happy to come back anytime to talk more about any issues that's in everyone's mind or anytime.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bro.